Hello and welcome to our Thursday live. As you can see, I'm in Starbucks waiting for Lucas to sign on. I was laughing because we're messaging behind the scenes trying to get this to work. And he says that he feels like an old person. Me too, Lucas. Me too. So once I see him log in and start watching, because I was able to tag him this time, it should work hopefully the second time around and we don't have to do 3 tries like we've had to do with the other ones. No. So again, it's not showing up. That is really weird. If anyone knows how to fix that from Facebook, that would be amazing if you could drop that into the comments below. Invite me to watch. I did. Let's see. Can I host a live party from here? Okay. I really don't know why that's not doing it. Okay, let's see. Oh, my friends. We're going to have to go for try 3. This is the behind the scenes of how he's there. He's just not with us. We're having him sign off and sign back on. I swear when I had this genius idea of doing lives, I didn't think it was going to be this complicated. If not, I would have never suggested it. Okay, Lucas, stop watching, refresh, and come back. All of you other ones do need to stay now. I think we have solved the mystery, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Okay, so he was watching from his desktop. So now, once he pops up, we will be able to connect him. In the meantime, I'll give you a little intro of who is Lucas. Lucas and I actually met on an app called Shapr. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and how he was able to build his business with this app. It's a networking app that you can use for lead generation. And it is absolutely phenomenal. It's something that, there we are. That is, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that and how it's benefited his business and hopefully get all of you guys on there so you can start networking.
Oop.
Hello.
Hey, oh my God, that's crazy shit. Oh my gosh, wait, I got my headphones. Oh man, all right, let me put them up. Take them right here.
Oh.
It's insane.
I'm good. I just had to take it out.
Okay.
My cords are all bungled up. Man, that was something. Shit. I wonder why it's why it's so complicated for Facebook. I mean, man,
I
think it would be
know.
desktop.
Right? And
That's
then, funny
insane.
enough, I was trying to do it through Be Live, which is what we had used last time to those who are logging in and seeing the repetition. And you can't do it from your phone. So I was like,
Yeah.
dang it, because I'm in the middle of a coffee shop. So I needed to have headphones in. So,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
so everybody, this is Lucas Capestany. Did I say that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Lucas, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hi. So I am a entrepreneur, I guess. I started a marketing agency about 15 months ago. It's a digital marketing agency, and I started it because I'm really focused on how entrepreneurship can impact society in a positive way. So for me, a little bit, I guess, to how I am, I'm somebody who's always trying to continue learning, always reading a lot, and really trying to kind of be involved in some of the technological trends that are happening in any way, shape, or form. Whether it's me getting behind the scenes or me actually spearheading a project, that's kind of what my focus is and kind of what I do most of the day. So,
Nice. And so
yeah.
you're the co-founder of Twiz. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about what is Twiz?
Yeah, totally. So Twiz is again, marketing agency, but we're a little bit more than that. So I'm really focusing on building an innovation factory, essentially. So if you know, like, Thomas Edison, right? He had that factory where he came up with all these different inventions, and to me, that's really appealing. It's a really appealing concept. So I am working with my team now of about 8 people, 8 full-time here in Los Angeles to basically create a machine that can scale a lot of businesses, and mainly doing it because if I can scale other businesses, then I can scale my own, right? So the whole idea is to kind of keep pumping out as many new products as possible eventually, one of these days. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's kind of where
Yeah,
we're
I
at.
do want to highlight that when I met Lucas, you were just starting. You were a couple months in, right, with your
Yeah,
company. And
yeah,
now he has 8 full-time employees. So he went from him and his co-founder to 8 full-time employees in 15 months. That's spectacular, guys. So he is great at lead gen and scaling,
thank
and
you,
the proof is in the pudding of his company that just continues to grow. So,
thank you.
um, tell us a little bit about, how were you introduced to Shapr? Because that's something I told before you logged on a little bit about that.
Yeah,
We met on Shapr and a little bit about the app, but how has
right,
it benefited you to
right.
scaling your company?
Yeah, so Shapr has been interesting. Obviously, lots of lead generation from Shapr. The amazing thing about it is, and it's kind of a trend in general. Like you could interchange uh, Shapr with Bumble Biz, with LinkedIn, but really Shapr was what enabled us to grow initially, and it's kind of this. It's literally Tinder for networking. It's the same. No, it's the same style. It's the same
It
style
is.
as Tinder. Everything is the same, but you swipe to get in a
That's
hold
true.
of people, and you connect with them, um, and you only connect with who you swipe with, and then you message them. It's the same functionality, the same everything as Tinder, but for networking. So all business, pretty much.
So I do want to clarify with that because I use it as well. It is
Yeah.
a lot of the back end of Tinder, but the benefit is what I liked about it was because there is Bumble Biz, but
Right.
it pulls your LinkedIn profile. So it pulls
Oh
in
yeah.
your LinkedIn profile with all of the links and all of that credits. And then also there are certain tags and filters that you can use to kind of help
Right.
weed out. So what I liked about it
Yeah.
personally was really it was networking with a filter, because when you go to a
Yeah.
networking event you can't really filter out who you're connecting with or who's
Yeah.
going to show out.
Right.
But in Shapr, if you're interested in someone and you want to connect with them, you can either open up their LinkedIn and connect that way, which I've done, and then also if they both swipe, then you can continue a conversation offline.
Exactly. And it's, the crazy thing about it is, I think I kind of look at everything when it comes to scaling businesses as sort of happening in phases. And so you had this initial phase, which was the internet boom, where you had companies like Google and Amazon, and they kind of paved the way for all these fast-growing startups. But the next wave was companies like Facebook, Airbnb, Uber, et cetera. They're like the Web 2.0, I guess. And then the Web 3.0, you could say, is companies like, hopefully Twiz could be included in that one day, but I think companies like, I don't know if you've heard of Brex, but it's a credit card for founders, and they have reached
Oh, yeah.
they reached $1 billion valuation. They're 22 years old or something in a
Oh,
year and a
wow.
half. So like, they got me beat, but they've been doing it for 10 years. So they literally were doing it in grade school, but they got a lot of experience. But you have companies like that where basically the internet pipeline, if you will, the infrastructure had been laid for connecting quickly. So entrepreneurs like myself and others can go at hyperspeed to connect. And if you can get that connection time down to just, the speed of light, where I just have to be on a phone call, I don't have to go anywhere. I just can talk to someone and close them on the phone or on a video call. If you get to that point, then you can scale a lot quicker. So it is pretty amazing what these apps are doing, Shapr and LinkedIn and Bumble and all that.
Yeah, I'd like to highlight a couple things in what you said. Is the first about like time management, because I've met so many new entrepreneurs who are like, you're supposed to network and connect and like go out there and share the world about your business. And I was like,
Right.
yeah, but if you're doing that for hours at a time and driving in traffic, no one's back at home watching your business. So
Yeah.
connecting, on the phone is more time efficient. And then the ability to close leads on the phone, but also to get those leads. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you handle lead generation?
Yeah. So it's very much the old adage of it's a numbers game, right? It really is. The thing about like actually getting large sales and consistently winning deals is that you can't ever stop, like ever. Like the moment you stop, I don't mean like you should get sleep. I'm not saying that, and I'm also not saying you shouldn't take Saturdays off. I do that. I take Saturdays off. But when you're on the clock, you can't stop, because what happens is, and so I'll go into the technicalities, but first I'll kind of give the general answer. But if you stop, then you'll be behind a week. If you stop a day, you'll be behind a week. If you stop a week, you'll be behind a month. If you stop a month, you'll be behind a year, right? It's true. And so, at least I think so. It's happened for me. And so what I try to do is have consistency. If you're consistently intense about reaching out and you're hitting all your numbers every day, then you're going to grow. And then the awesome thing about that is if you are consistent and intense at the same time about it, then you can blame other variables or analyze other variables outside of yourself for what's going wrong. So for example, if I'm consistent every day and I'm doing the same thing every day and it's working, then I can look at all my data and say, well, if I'm doing everything correctly, then I can't really optimize myself anymore. So what other things in my business can I optimize to scale faster? And that kind of leaves you in a good position, because if you know that you're consistent, then you know that you're going to continue being consistent and everything else is going to kind of help you grow faster. But you don't need to do more because you're already at your top, right?
Yeah.
So just continuously staying at your top, staying consistent and intense is how I do lead gen. But with the technicalities, you're right. It's about not meeting in person. I don't do that, because now at this point, if I meet someone in person, that's a loss of revenue to our business because I'm in traffic or something, right?
Yeah.
And then it's also about continuing to explore new channels. So we're spending some money, decent amount of money now, on paid ads as another acquisition channel, because we got SEO, we got LinkedIn, we got Shapr, but there's other rooms to grow, right? So that's the thing. Always expanding into new lead gen channels, and at the same time being consistent with what you already have. That's kind of that duality that I'm trying to approach it with.
Yeah, and I want to highlight on two things as well, because so just to clarify, because you're B2B.
Yeah.
So our coaches are usually B2C.
Yeah.
Business to client, right?
Right.
So that's why he uses LinkedIn and Shapr, but Shapr is still, and LinkedIn are still great acquisition channels for coaches, that they're very undervalued. So a lot of people don't even know about Shapr. If you do know about Shapr, drop it in comments below. If you don't, we will teach you. And then the other is, I wanted to ask, because if you're hyper focused on lead gen, how much would you say a percentage of your day is spent on that? Because I know that there's like the lead gen, the closing of sales, which you close a percentage, but then there's actually the delivery of it all. So how do you manage that in your time management?
So that's a good thing. So part of the reason why I've been able to grow so fast is because I mean, luckily, it's it can be boiled down to simple math, right? It's just um, Christian and myself. Christian's my business partner. He's 24. I'm 23, so we just started this out of our dorms. But and which is a good position to be because you have a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
A lot of free time. But basically, I worked double the amount of hours that on average, right, the average person works. And I don't bang my chest with that. I don't think it's necessarily for everybody. I mean, it really depends on your lifestyle. But and then Christian did too. So he works the fulfillment twice as hard, and now manages all our employees twice as hard as like an average CEO or manager. And I do that with the sales. So luckily, I have somebody handling that, and I never even have to think about it. So I do encourage people to do that because you grow a lot faster. So if their goal is to grow fast, and it's not everyone's goal, but if it is, then they definitely want to have someone else handling that because it becomes too much context switching back and forth is very dangerous for any company. It slows down growth a lot.
Yeah, and even having it the other way, like if you want to be fulfillment. So, for example, I still need to fill, like not for the conference, but for my other company, sales roles because I'm great at sales, but it's just not my zone of genius. So I'm great on fulfillment of operations and logistics that I can do stuff in an hour that it would take people 6 hours to do. And I'm not kidding because I've been doing it for 14 years.
Exactly.
And so for me, it's the other way. So there's also that opportunity of, offering commissions on sales and having someone else. You just also want to make sure that you're very detailed in the way that they're selling and pitching your programs and your product because you want to make sure that it's on brand and within what you consider acceptable.
That's true. Brokers and franchisees is a model we're really exploring because about 12.5% of our clients come from referrals from other businesses or partners. So, we got that going for us. So I mean, it might increase as we grow. So you can get people to, once you have a good enough product, you can get people to sell your product for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and referrals
awesome.
are huge. That's the best way. The biggest thing that I found, and I learned actually at another conference, was equipping your clients with a referral package because everyone would love to refer you and send you business if you did a great job with them. But it's like sending an untrained salesperson to do sales, right? Because obviously the reason they came to you was because they didn't know how to do what you do. And so if you're sending them off to explain what you did for them or how you helped them guide it, they're not going to be great salespeople. So equipping them with a referral packet or PDF of explanation of what it is, with some tips like a white paper has always been really, really effective as well. I also wanted to mention, I love that you're so on it with your numbers. That's a huge thing that a lot of people and entrepreneurs don't understand and measure, right? Whatever gets measured, you can improve. And so, you have your KPIs and you have your percentages, so you know your close rate. You know that if you get on 10 calls and you close 10%, it's only one, right? And the way that you said like 12.5 of recommendations, it's a good number for recommendations because in those referrals, they're just coming in naturally, right? You don't even have to worry that much. So
exactly.
Awesome.
And you should check out, if anyone's trying to kind of get inspiration, check out this documentary series I watched. I was actually on Facebook. It's called Tom versus Time. It's this like new docu-series. It's about Tom Brady. And I know not everybody likes Tom Brady, but it's a how do I put it? It's really good just to kind of see the intensity that's required to be in the top 1% of anything. And if you're going to start a business and be on your own, that is the top 1%. Like even if you start a business and it's not even, I'm not even talking about financially. I'm just talking about performance-wise. Like you have to perform in the top 1%. Like Gary Vee says this shit all the time, right? So like, it's about performing that way. And he does the same thing. He looks at like all his numbers and he's super on it. And, he knows what he spends a lot of time analyzing film. And so the same way, like with your business, you spend time analyzing all your data on top of performing. And to him, performing is, playing or practicing or exercising or training. Same thing with us as business owners. It's performing is getting on a call or delivering on the product, and training is improving by reading books and getting feedback and all that. So
Yeah, they say great documentary. They agree.
yeah,
Yeah, and
it is a
something about that, I mean, I was doing a content video for the conference, and I was talking about entrepreneurship sucks, man.
yeah,
Like, I'm an entrepreneur and I love being an entrepreneur, but there are days where, like you said, like you put in double the work for maybe a fourth of the pay for the first couple of years, and then sometimes you don't even know if you're going to make it, right? So it is not for the faint-hearted, but
no,
those who do apply themselves, measure their numbers, and are very um, disciplined, I would say, because everything can be a skill that's learned as long as you're
yeah,
willing and open, right? But as long as
yeah.
you're disciplined and you have good time management, then you can make it work.
Right, and it's what it is too. It's the compartmentalizing your emotions, because it's not that you can't have emotions. I know there's like this whole you got to have emotions, but it's like for example, with my company, like we don't have any loans or investment, so like which is a blessing and a curse, because it means it's literally like you never get a break ever. Like you can't ever drop the ball, right, at
Yeah.
all. Like I can't just go like a week and say, oh well, I got like 200 grand in the bank, I'm fine, right? Doesn't work like that. So the crazy thing is, and I've learned this because riding the roller coaster of a startup is like a up and down experience, like everyone knows. But what I didn't anticipate was just how up and down, because quite literally, at least where I'm at, like it is so bad that a day could be horrible in your mind because maybe you didn't get enough sales or whatever, but then literally an hour later, you get like this huge deal, and that happens all the time. So it's kind of like quite literally you have to turn your mind off because it becomes a distraction to what you're trying to accomplish. So you have to literally put it in another basket and not even think about it, And so
And
that's
that
kind of,
also,
yeah.
yeah, and that also makes sense with, the reason I'm not good at sales for my own company is because like I can sell anything. Like I could sell you the phone that I'm speaking to you on in San Diego and you're in LA. Like I'm that good when I'm selling for other people. But when it's me, you're emotionally attached to your product or
Yeah.
service, right?
Yeah.
And so it's getting past that, say when people say no to you, understanding
Right.
that you might not be a right fit. It's just maybe not a good time for them. They might come back around. And not taking it personally, because I remember when I first started and I would like do sales school and people would say no and I'm like, I'm done for the day. I'd
Yeah.
have like two more and get in a bad mood. I'd have to like go outside and meditate and be like, okay, I'm good. It's not
Yeah.
personal.
Right.
Keep
Right.
on going. And so you do
Yeah.
have to kind of compartmentalize. And I mean,
Yeah.
women are a little bit more emotional. That's okay. I'll readily admit it.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm very passionate about what I do, right? This is
Yeah.
my zone of genius. This is my love.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, yeah, that makes sense.
And that's the
And,
thing. Yeah.
oh, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say the what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. What were you gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say.
I forgot anything.
I completely forgot. So.
Oh, the like with the ups and downs, because it does happen, right? You'll get your very first like really big break, like sometimes 15,000, 100,000, depending on what your product is. And then sometimes you'll go like if you just ride that out, right, and you don't have a consistent flow of leads that then you can try to close,
Right.
then that's when you have like sharp downs, right? Because if you don't have
Yeah.
anything in the pipeline and you're just depending on, let's say, $10,000, the next month when nothing comes across your table, you're like,
Yeah.
I wonder why. And it's because you don't have a good lead gen system.
Right. Right. Well, you know what gets really shitty is, am I allowed to swear on Facebook? I don't think I'm allowed to swear on Facebook, but yeah, what gets really crappy is when you don't know the reason why you're doing bad, because like that's the hard part, and that's something they don't talk about as much, because a lot of these startup videos are tailored towards like new founders, right? Like that's the whole thing, because 99.9% of people are new founders, Like they don't get to the point where they have employees. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I want to know. Like I want to know how to handle these situations. And I don't see that a lot. Like people don't talk specifically to me. So the thing is, what I'm trying to figure out, and it sucks, is basically when you have so many variables that could be causing a certain problem, identifying what is the problem is very difficult. So it's like, yeah, so like right now we're doing fine. We just had our biggest month of sales ever last month, but
Congrats.
thank you. But the thing is, like this month, it's not bad, but it's also not great, not like last month. And I'm like, what's wrong? I'm doing everything the same.
Yeah.
And so you have to start like picking at things. But then the crazy thing is, when you pick it too much, then you start to like overthink it. And if you overthink it, that can make it worse. So it's like, how do you know? How do you like actually understand what is causing the problem? That is very difficult, you know?
And really a lot of marketing, which I mean, we have 8 of our 9 speakers on this track of marketing and sales are specific to marketing because there's so many channels, so many avenues that you can market on, but it's really a trial and error. Like no marketer can come in and be like, I'm going to generate 100 leads a day for you because you don't know. You're always testing the market and the market shifts, right? So like we have seen a huge shift from Facebook to Instagram we were talking about the other day. So the market is consistently shifting. And on top of that, if you add on just internet overall, the way that we have progressed in the last 5 to 8 years, I mean, I got certified in marketing. Like it was part of my undergrad program. And I was like, I know about marketing. And then I dipped my toe back into it and I was like, I don't know anything. And I had to get like recertified and start going to conferences and workshops and everything again because it was so intense, the exponential like growth that it had through social media and everything else, right? And then also how since social media has exponentially grown, how much old marketing tactics are getting pushed to the back burner, and those are sometimes still very effective because they worked for 100 some odd years, and now just because social media, we're pushing them to the back. And so if you can create like a hybrid, that's really the best.
It is, and I think it's because we have so much. Sorry, I have to plug my phone into the charger. It's about to die. But yeah, I think it's honestly, my hypothesis is that as we spend more time on our phones, right? Any marketing channel can really work well, because if you think about it, just think about how many different things you run into every day. Like you run into Facebook, you run into Instagram, you run into LinkedIn, you run into Google, you run into a billboard, you run into everything. So everything is there. So like the omni-channel approach is obviously the most effective overall. Like, but the matter is it's just a matter of how much budget you have. So I think of it, when I think about marketing for entrepreneurs, there's a lot of the companies we work with now actually aren't startups. We work with a lot of more like established businesses. But the thing is, I kind of think of it as a pyramid, where it's like you start off with your first sort of strategy, see if it works, and then once you get to a certain point in the conversions, then you start ramping up new channels. So it starts to stack up on each other until it eventually is almost like an omni-channel presence you have on the web,
Yeah. And so, last couple of questions. My phone's supposed to die.
I wasn't expecting you on phone. Yeah.
The audio got messed up a little bit.
So what are you excited about for a conscious coach conference?
Well, it's actually the first time I've ever been speaking. So, like, because I'm pretty young, so like I haven't really had a chance. So I'm pretty excited to get that's a huge thing. And then also, I'm actually pretty interested to hear some of the other speakers. It'll be very interesting to hear what they have to say about lead gen and all that. Mainly because I'm kind of in a silo a lot of the times. I mean, you get all these gurus online talking about it, but it'd be cool to be able to interact with them too, like to actually talk to them afterwards or before and just kind of get some more context on the things that they said. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah.
I love that because a huge intention in creating this was not only building a community and a network within the attendees, but also between the speakers. And so a lot of the speakers have been like, I'm excited to meet the other speakers. I'm like, yes, that's what we wanted.
Yeah, that's legit. That's what I want. Learn, like I want to learn what I'm missing. What are the biggest issues when you're running a company is just having blind spots, That's a hard thing to understand. So, kind of where I'm at is that, having blind spots. So.
And then what should we expect from you in your session?
Yeah.
For practice coach?
Well, I'm certainly going to be showing people our process because I'm pretty transparent about it. I don't really, I don't try to hide too much with it. So I'm certainly going to be sharing a lot of the techniques that we use, a lot of the messaging that we use, how we're able to scale this. So not just how you can do it for, one person, yourself, or two people, but how you can do it for, a lot of different people. So.
That might help because it's better.
Okay, I was wondering what it was. I was like, loud.
Awesome. And so we'll open up to any questions that any of the viewers have.
I'm going to turn my...
Also,
oh my God. I turned my comments off. Oh, my mom is watching. Great.
Hi, Mom.
I think she's been watching the entire time. My mom is always on Facebook. It's hilarious. The older generation is always on Facebook. She probably doesn't like that I said she's old.
So there you go. If your target market is older, it is on Facebook. There's no difference.
It is on Facebook. It is. I'm targeting people on Facebook who are older right now. Like, it's legit. But yeah, I guess we'll take a rain check on the questions. I don't know if anyone's
Does your mom have any questions? Mom, do you have questions for your son?
It looks like she's. I mean, let's see. I wonder if she's actually. Can I even see the viewers? I guess it's.
I don't know if I can see her outside questions.
That's hilarious. Oh yeah. Gosh, this is like. I think I just flipped my camera.
If we don't have any questions coming in, that's fine. If you're watching the replay and you want to learn about lead gen, Shapr, and LinkedIn, drop a question below and we'll have Lucas come in and answer that.
Happy to do so. Yeah.
And if not, you'll just have to catch a session at a conscious coach.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excited to get you that. Glad it's in September because I thought it was this week. So definitely got it wrong.
That's why when you called me, I started to panic. I was like, oh no, is he canceling? What's happening?
No. Not canceling, just super confused. It was mine. I'm a very oblivious person, so it's not really that you did anything wrong. It's just I'm very all over the place, so try to figure it out.
September 28th to October 1st. Free and all the viewers.
Yeah, everybody here. So they know.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, have a wonderful rest of your week.
Yeah, you too.
And we will see each other soon.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Thank you for your time.
Bye. You too. Bye.
See ya.